Scalpel. Okay. Get the blood right there. Okay. What do you think about this?
I concur. But, Doc,
What?
the report said he was supposed to get a shot, a flu shot. You just amputated his arm.
Oh.
Can you say malpractice? Yes. Now, I know that's really drastic. That probably will not happen. Well, I'm sure it probably does in some places. That's a different conversation for a different day. Today, we're going to talk about sales malpractice, things that you are probably doing that you're getting in trouble for, and the way that you're getting in trouble. It may not be getting sued, but you're probably losing money. Listen to how you can fix it. This episode is brought to you in part by mailtag.io. It's a Chrome browser extension that notifies you when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. Go ahead and check out a 14-day trial with Mailtag. Simply go to mailtag.io. This episode is also brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program, a course designed to help sellers elevate their sales game, find more ideal customers, build stronger value, and close more deals. To check out our upcoming semester or to go ahead and take a free trial, go to thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I am your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have Mr. Brian Robinson on the podcast. Yes, sir. And Brian is going to talk to us about some sales malpractice that we are probably doing or we may have done, and maybe we feel guilty about it. But don't worry. He's going to teach us how we can fix it, how we can be aware of them, how we can get past them, and you know what? How it's going to help us to save money, make more money, and just be happy. Sellers love that money. Show me that bling bling. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the episode. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you, Donald. Great to be here.
I am so excited to chat with you about this because you know what? Every time we find ourselves in a situation where we feel like we know enough, we end up messing up. And many of us who are listening to this podcast daily, we know that we always can learn. And I'm looking forward to learning from you from this topic today. But before we dive into that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and what you do, man?
Sure. I've been in sales for 20 plus years. Started out in the corporate world with Coca-Cola USA in the fountain division, and then left that company and went to work with Johnson & Johnson for about 13 years. Was in 4 different divisions. 3 of those were startups, and most of my time was spent in the operating room interacting with surgeons and staff of hospitals. And then a friend of mine approached me and asked if I'd be open to helping him start a business. I was tired of building equity in a large corporation. So I took the dive into entrepreneurialism and it worked. But I will tell you, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I thought I knew how to sell until I left corporate America and had to actually get into the zone where if you don't sell, you don't eat. That was a big time wake up call. And that actually is what this whole book I wrote called The Selling Formula is an outgrowth of, is the codification of the formula, if you will, the steps I used to succeed in that venture.
You know, and I think you're right on that. For me, I left in 2015. I left my full-time gig and decided to do this. And I was selling for other people like you were doing. And it's just so much easier to sell for other people. We knew the proven path already, and selling a product, not a service, or selling myself when I know what I'm selling now, it's a little bit harder because in my mind, I thought it'd be easy to sell Donald, but no, give me a product, give me the specs, give me how it works. Let me see how it works with a couple of clients and I can create conversations. But myself, man, it was intimidating.
Oh, I agree. And you know, when you walk into someone's office and you've got a multi-billion-dollar corporation behind you that everybody recognizes, it's a totally different universe than when you leave that. And then you walk in and someone says, "Who are you?"
I'm Donald, man, from the Sales Evangelist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's do business.
Well, we're going to talk about malpractice today, and we're not talking medicine, but we're talking about what is sales malpractice and how to avoid it. So you have a story behind this. I know it because it's in your book. So tell us, what exactly is this sales malpractice, and why did you decide to put this as a component in your book?
Well, the short answer is many of us salespeople at one time or another in our career do what the old show up and throw up.
Oh my goodness.
And we are so anxious to go to the presentation portion of our conversation that we neglect the most critical component, which is asking the very best questions we can ask to uncover the needs to a level where you've got some sincere engagement from your prospect. And just like in my history in medical before, I noticed that the best physicians diagnose illnesses with a list of questions that are very carefully crafted. And so that whole idea and that concept became very real to me when I was with Johnson & Johnson and had an experience where I was in one of the divisions where we sold internal devices for laparoscopy. So the example is have a product for hernia repair. And in laparoscopy, there's ports put in the belly and they blow the abdomen up with CO2. And the surgeon looks around there in a camera and then uses the instrumentation to repair the hernia. Our device was clinically superior to anything else on the market. However, I was really frustrated with the lack of response I was getting for trial evaluations of that device. So I decided to sit down and look at every feature and benefit of this device because, again, I knew it was clinically superior.
Yeah.
And I put together a list of questions. It took me hours. And I was very careful about the order in which I asked them and how I asked them. And so I started testing this new list of questions. Mm-hmm. And within about 30 days, my trial evaluations doubled because of the way I was asking my questions. And word got out to the sales force that this guy has doubled his evaluations with this simple list of questions. And people started asking for that list. I started passing it along. And if they followed the questions in order, they got the exact same results. They doubled their evaluations, our sales doubled, and it worked. So I became fascinated with the whole idea of going deep on questions and actually kind of have this own personal mantra now that I believe questions are the key to life.
No, I believe that to be so true when you sharing it like that. And first off, congratulations on mastering that idea and recognizing that your shortcomings and what you need to do to fix it. I think so often when we fall into bad situations or tough situations, it's easy to give up and say, well, blame exterior reasons, but you went ahead and tackled that. So that's great. The other thought to this too is not only that you tackled it and not only that you recognized it, but also the simple fact that it was tests. You tested this thing. And I imagine the result did not come overnight, right?
No, great point. It took me multiple iterations of the question list to finally get to a place where, okay, I think this is the best version we can come up with. And there's still an opportunity to make it even better. But usually 80% of the path down success takes quite a few iterations. Then you finally get to a place where, this is working very consistently. And that's how this happened. And it took several months. It wasn't just a one-time, here's a new list of questions kind of idea.
So it was that continual practice off that. The cool thing too is that you saw that some of the other team members, they started to take this and they started to use it, not doing it before and having that. Would that be your quote unquote malpractice when you weren't having this, I guess, in-depth approach?
I guess you could apply it to that. Yeah. It's malpractice being providing some type of diagnosis before you really understand the underlying issues. And in that case, you wind up not giving your prospect the very best possible answer. And oftentimes, what I've told sales representatives that I've trained is until you uncover a need, you cannot proceed to the sales conversation. In other words, the presentation of your product or service. You have to earn the right, I fully believe, to present your solution. And I have seen so many times, and I've done this myself many times in the past, where I rushed to the presentation. I had a list of questions. They were okay. And they elicited some interest and some, and some good dialogue, but it wasn't nearly what it could have been. And so that's why I believe the absolute key to selling success is how you create your questions. And the way I recommend that is very simple. Would you like me to share that?
Yes, please.
It's 3 things. I would suggest you just make a spreadsheet or get a piece of paper and draw 3 columns. The first column are your features. And then the next column would be the benefits related to that feature. And generally, there's multiple benefits, of course, related to a given feature. And then after you write down those associated benefits, you go to the third column and write down every question you can think of that would relate to each of those benefits. So it winds up fanning out very broadly. Then you look at kind of take an 80-20 approach to the questions that you've developed. What are the 20% of the questions you've written down that will elicit 80% of the most critical benefits of your product or service? Start with general fact-finding questions and then move into those 80-20 questions in the most appropriate order to get the most needs out on the table, to elicit the most pain, as it were.
That's so true, man. I really like that. And 80-20 rule, I can see how using that could have helped me tremendously when I was doing software sales early on. So good point on it. So let's say that I'm a sales rep and I am working in an organization where we have never done anything like this before. I am the one that's going to have to take the bull by the horn and to start doing that. How do I go about start doing this effectively?
Let me just give you an example of that.
Sure.
Let's say, and this is in the book, let's say you're selling, this is a very simple example, but it's applicable. Let's say you're selling pre-made home-cooked meals. All right. One of the features is pre-made home-cooked meals for 2 to 6 people. All right. So what are 2 benefits related to that? One might be saves up to 60 minutes per meal, including food purchase, prep, and cooking time.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good benefit. What's another one? Just pull it out of the freezer and put it in the oven. Okay. So a question would be, on a weekly basis, how many dinners do you cook for your family? Another question could be, how much time does it typically take you to make a dinner for your family? And then a third question could be, if you could just pull your dinner out of the freezer already prepared, put it into the oven without having to think about it, how would that affect the frequency of your family meals? Then you go and order the questions from general fact-finding to specific, and again, placing the most compelling ones at the top 20% of the questions you ask.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Brian and I are going to pick up the conversation and we're going to talk more about the emotions and how you can tap into the emotions of your prospects. You're listening to the Sales Evangelist Podcast, and I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. You meet this amazing prospect on LinkedIn. They're the right size firm, the right income, the right number of employees. They're right within your Goldilocks zone. They have a problem, and you can solve that problem with your software. You schedule an initial appointment. You send out an email to them and to a couple of their team members. You also send out some information about your firm, but you don't know if they're opening your emails or not. You don't know if they're clicking through and going to the web pages that you recommended. It's a Chrome browser extension that allows you to get notification when someone opens your email or clicks on a link. The coolest part is that you can schedule your emails for later. Mailtag.io has a free 14-day trial, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can go and test it out. And when you do fall in love with it, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout and get half off your subscription for life. Shh, don't go telling nobody about that now. Half off your subscription for life just because you're listening to the TSE podcast. To find out more information, again, go to mailtag.io. But let's continue the story. The prospect then goes ahead and clicks on all of your links. They go back to your website. They're doing their initial research. They want to schedule the next meeting. You go through the process. You create a demonstration. I mean, an amazing demonstration. You gave it everything you had, your emotion, your heart, your feelings. You gave epic value. But still yet, when it's all said and done, they said,
Thank you so much, Donald. Unfortunately, we are going with another vendor. We appreciate all that you did. Thank you.
Devastated. I know that feeling. I've been there. You've been there. And it's horrible. But we can fix that. We fix that by helping you with TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We would love for you to check out our upcoming semester to learn how we can help you not only find the right customers, not only say the right things and help your clients get all the way to the demonstration, but actually what you should be doing to help them convert to come towards your product or your service. To find out more information, go to thesalesevangelist.com/CET Again, the salesevangelist.com/C for certified, S for sales, T for training. We have a new semester coming up in April, and I would love to have you join us. Let's help you to close more deals. Hey guys, we're back. And as we dive into the second half of this episode, we're going to talk about the emotion that you should be tapping into when you're speaking with your buyer and helping them to see the value in what you have to offer. Bro, that is so powerful, man. Because, and I also think too, with the last part there, I'm putting myself in that situation, right? Because you said the first, general, then fact finding. But now how much time would it save me? Because I might think about myself in the first question, second one, we'll probably do about 2, 3. But then, the last part there, I'm thinking about me and my family spending time together. It's not necessarily the meal, it's the opportunity that you're selling me or that I'm getting from this.
Right.
Getting that time back, or just like eating with the kids or whatnot.
Yeah, it gets down to the emotional level. And to that point, Donald, I was speaking with a friend of mine who sells video services, professional video production services. And he took this process, and what he said was he normally would stop at a certain level of questioning, and he decided to go 2 or 3 more levels deeper and going more into how this is actually affecting the life of that prospect.
Oh, man.
It was magical. Before he left the office, they were almost begging him to do business with them because they knew he had the solution.
Yeah.
But that normally never happened because he didn't go down to that emotional level.
Why do you feel that people don't get down to that level? Is it because they don't know, or do you feel that it's awkward?
That's a great question. I think that it's because we're not comfortable in our own skin going to that level of conversation. I think generally speaking that when we interface with people, that it's more of a transactional mindset, when in reality, this is another human being who has deep emotional, physical needs in their life, just like you and I do. And so why not go to the levels that really motivate us in our life and can make a difference? Because we're trying to make a difference as salespeople. And I think if you have that mindset that I'm here to help and to serve, if you go with that mindset, I think you're just going to want to go deeper and ask those heart level questions, right?
Yeah. And I think too, as you mentioned that, thinking about it like the heart level question, I can see how from doing that, I would become more, one, as a buyer in that scenario, I would see you more as a leader or someone that I can consult with because you've helped me to dissect the problem, as opposed to the sales rep that come after you and say, hey, we have a really cheap deal on getting food at home. Would you want to get some? Like, no, I'm good, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're more of a trusted advisor.
Of course. Yeah.
Or coach, to your point, when you get down to that level. Yeah.
And it also goes back to, like you said, that connection at a human level. And I don't know why. I've tried to find a book so I can destroy it, but some books out there somewhere, it tells us that, it tells salespeople that they don't need to have emotion, that they don't need to connect with individuals, that they just need to try to push their product or their service.
Yeah, I'd so disagree.
Yeah, dude, it's totally not the case out there, man. You got to make sure you connect with them on a personal level.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we have this down, we know some of these questions, we know the format, and we're implementing these questions, and we're connecting on that human level, and we're having meaningful dialogue with our buyers. Mm-hmm. What can we do to ensure that, like, let's say if our company, how can we get our company to buy in on this idea? If somebody wants to pilot it like you did and to make it happen, any thoughts on how you can give them that concept?
I think that if someone is willing to grab this idea and own it and test it in their own sales conversations, that is the fastest way you'll get buy-in. It's just the proof is in the doing and the results that you get from trying it. That's the only way I know to make something happen, is to try it.
Yeah. And I think one of the cool parts that you did too is that you were able to track it. You saw some amazing results from your, pilot of it. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously people around you and start to see that, and they started running and say, let me go see what Brian's doing over there, man. He's closing so much deals, man.
Yeah, that's true. It was pretty fun to watch.
How did I feel though when people were coming to you to get this insight? Brag for a second. Don't be humble. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel like I was actually onto something that could really make a difference in my sales. And as I taught this, I was also a sales trainer in different times. If they implemented this, my trainees, they were amazed at what it did for them. Because shockingly, not many people think this way. And I don't know why, but I would camp out on the questions longer than any other piece of the discussion because that's where the gold is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know why either. I don't know why people just don't like it. It just seems like it's a rush. And I think sometimes it has to deal with management who are telling you, you need to have this appointment. You need to do this. And when we rush through it, we end up not focusing on the right things. And you end up working twice as hard and not see the result.
Oh, that's so well said. I think that speaks to the whole focus on outcomes.
Yeah.
And as opposed to being so connected to the outcome, if you're connected to the prospect and how you can most serve them, the outcome takes care of itself, I discovered.
Yeah. And like you said, connect with the prospect. So you're going back to that whole conversation about the human side, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you just make me feel like you care about me and make me feel that you can help me and just guide me. And I did an episode the other day and it's about painting that picture, right? And it's asking the right question, helping the buyer to see where they are, what challenges, what will happen if they don't change and then where they could be. And when you ask those questions, like you're saying, going back to emotional side to it, it's like, why did I not do this before? Right? Mm-hmm. Why did I not fix this? And usually we're living in ignorance because we're comfortable where we are. Like, I'm comfortable making that 2 meals per week. I think that's great, but I didn't know anything better. And you helped me to recognize that there is something better. And if I don't do it, I'm going to miss out on time with my kid and family. And I'm going to be a lot more peaceful in the house. I don't have to worry about burning stuff, man.
And you bring up a really good point, Donald, about comfort.
Yeah.
We are amazingly connected to, or unamazingly connected to our comfort level.
Yes.
And one of my favorite sayings is, in order to grow, you have to embrace struggle.
Yeah.
And that's, I found critical for going to the next level, but we're addicted to our own comfort.
Yeah. Believe you me, I've been there, man. I shot myself in the foot so many times, just being comfortable.
Yeah.
And then I look back on it and saying, why didn't I take advantage of it sooner, right? Why did I let that hold me back for so long, man? And you can't let it stop you. Just pick up and move on. Many great things out there for you.
Yeah, I think, and we're stuck inside our own bottle. We can't even read the writing on our own label, and we need someone to help us do that.
Yeah, so true, man. If there's one major takeaway, one major piece of advice you'd like folks listening to this episode to walk away with that's going to help them to become better, what's that one major piece of advice?
You could be literally one question away from doubling or tripling your sales outcomes. That's how important this can be.
So true. Love it. Well, man, let's capitalize on that. Guys, go out, apply the stuff that Brian shared with us today. Brian, if people want to connect with you, want to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
2 ways. The first is I've got a gift for your listeners. They can get the first 3 chapters of the book, The Selling Formula, by going to brianrobinsonbook.com. They can download it for free, BrianRobinsonbook.com. And then I've got content associated with the book at thesellingformula.com.
Love it. I'll put that all back into the show notes so we can get access to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today, man. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, it was an honor. Thanks for inviting me, Donald. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
I'm telling you, man, Brian came, he saw, he conquered, he gave us some great insights. I want you guys to practice this stuff. I want you to implement it. I don't want you all to have any malpractice. I want your deals to go smoothly, your buyers to love you, they trust you, they believe in what you have to offer, they leave the status quo, and they go with the solution that you're providing. Find information about Brian. Find more details about the stuff that we talked about. If you want to see the show note, swipe up on a cover art or go to thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1084. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word 1084. Connect with Brian. Tell him you heard about him on the show. Check out the book and all the great references that we have. While you're there, make sure to check out mailtag.io. They have a 14-day free trial, and I highly recommend it. Once you've done it and you fall in love with it, go ahead and use promo code Donald at checkout to get 50% off your subscription for life. Now, also, check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. Maybe you have some sales skills that you want to improve on, or maybe you have some team members that you want to get up to par. Have them check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. You can find all the details by going to thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/free course. I share this with you because I want to help you. I want you to find more ideal customers. I want you to build stronger value. I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Hey, thank you so much for listening today. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit subscribe. Show your friends, your colleagues how they can subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. It would be extremely appreciated. Thank you so much. It goes a long way. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Mr. Jershino Bale. Our content writer and show note creator is Mrs. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in the show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Sales Podcast Network.